Is there a purpose, or is there supposed to be a purpose for why we're here? Existence. Have you ever had existential questions about why you're here, such as, am I supposed to be in school? Am I supposed to be working this job that I hate just for financial stability? Why can't I sing? Why am I wearing these clothes today? Why does my hair look like this? Like existential questions that you'll never know the answer to because there's no right or wrong, and it can completely evolve around how you choose to answer it because your answer constructs your lens of reality. Hey y'all, welcome back to Holistic Flow. I am your girl Lolo, and in this video I'm gonna get personal and raw about some of the things that I still struggle with as a mindfulness advocate, as a meditation and yoga teacher, as someone who's self-aware and on the path to self-actualization and consciousness expansion. I still struggle with a lot of things that I preach about, which I don't think that it makes me a hypocrite, because I don't try to point in other people's faces the problems that I still have. But I guess if we're all looking at it from a practical lens, everyone is still struggling with some things that they can give really good advice on. Have you ever seen someone give real good advice on relationships, but they're struggling in their own relationship, and you're like, well, why don't you take that advice and put it towards what you're going through right now instead of telling it to me? Well, I would like to humanize myself a little bit more by telling you all some things that I really still struggle with today, that if you're still struggling with those things as well, you shouldn't be ashamed and you shouldn't feel alone. Because if you switched lives with somebody, you wouldn't see your problems as that big of problems, because you would be able to see yourself from an outside perspective, and somebody else's problems that you view as not as big, they're viewing your problems the same way. Not as big, not as challenging, but put yourself in somebody else's shoes, and also humanize yourself more by maybe being a little bit more vulnerable and open-minded to the idea that our problems are temporary and we're continuously working through some things, and maybe we're not supposed to get through to the end, all the way to the end of healing for some things. I hope that made sense. Let's get into the video. So the first thing that I still struggle with as a mindfulness advocate is self-concept and purpose. Is there a purpose, or is there supposed to be a purpose for why we're here? Existence. Have you ever had existential questions about why you're here, such as, am I supposed to be in school? Am I supposed to be working this job that I hate just for financial stability? Why can't I sing? Why am I wearing these clothes today? Why does my hair look like this? Like existential questions that you'll never know the answer to because there's no right or wrong, and it can completely evolve around how you choose to answer it because your answer constructs your lens of reality. Self-concept is can be a huge hindrance to our stability, because our self-concept can change at any moment in time. At any moment in time, we can choose to reinvent ourselves, but a lot of us choose not to because we've been conformed or taught to conform to the grain in which society wants to move us. So even if you decided to reinvent yourself tomorrow and say, I'm not going to care at all about what someone else thinks of who I am, I'm just going to be my truest, most authentic self. Even then, your truest, most authentic self is going to be in some shape or form conformed to what society wants your self-concept to be. So self-concept is an illusion. Yes, we can change it to what we want, but there is some aspect of it that we're not going to have control over, because The very world that we live in is meant to shape our self-concept out of what the world wants it to be. And as long as we're living on Earth, there's not much that we can do about getting away from that, except for have some perception of control over our self-concept. But me knowing that, it creates this struggle often to be okay with it. I just went off in La La Land a little bit there, but yeah, that's something that I still struggle with today. If you struggle with it, just know that it's one day at a time. The next thing I still struggle with is a mindset of lack, a mindset that there may not be enough abundance to go around. And a prime example of this is financial instability and fearing that the instability that you have currently is going to be the instability that you have 5 years from now. So have you ever told yourself this? You said, I'm not going to donate to charity right now. I'm not going to give my money away in tithes or whatever right now. And I'm not going to invest my money in this account right now because I'm waiting until I make $10,000 more a year. The reason why that doesn't work is because our mind works sort of like inflation, I guess. What I mean is that when you get to make $10,000 more, your mind knows that you make that much more amount of money per year. So what you're going to do is you're going to start to increase your cost of living so that it matches up to the amount of money that you now make, so that just as a movie only costs like 50 cents 30 years ago, I don't know, I'm just guessing, I wasn't alive 30 years ago, but let's say a movie cost 50 cents 30 years ago, but a movie costs $12 now. Well, it made sense for the movies to cost 50 cents then because the salary was much less, or the average salary, but the salary is much higher now. So that movie is pretty expensive now. I just paid $20 for 2 drinks and 1 Kit Kat bar at the movie the other day. That doesn't make sense. But I'm saying the amount of money that we make now should be able to match the amount that things cost right now. That's exactly what our mind does. And our mind does that because scarcity is a perception. We perceive that we don't have enough to go around. So in doing that, we actually create this loop of instability and this loop, even though the physical amount of things, you can apply this to money, clothes, anything physical. When the amount that we have goes up, our perceived value of the amount that we have to spend on goes up. And that is why it's not about the amount that you have, which is why we're insecure. It's about the mindset, about what we have to spend it on, the value of it. So lack or abundance, choose one. The third thing that I would say I still struggle with is to give too much of my energy and time towards other people's issues at the expense of my own health. Raise your hand. Do you still struggle with this? I feel like a lot of people still struggle with this, especially as a person who is a person of service. If you simply feel called or pulled towards helping others as one of your purposes or your assignment, it becomes very difficult to separate you doing that out of a want to be needed or to feel needed. How many of us like to feel needed? Right? So it's difficult to separate whether you're doing that out of a want to feel needed or out of the actual goodness of your heart. And everything is about intention. So, I just answered my own questions. Even though I know that I still struggle with these type of things, I know exactly why I struggle with them and what I need to do to get over them. However, I still struggle with them, right? It's not that we ever sometimes completely get over these things. However, with our own knowledge and self-awareness, we work through these things. And I know that if you still struggle with this, identify the intention behind it. Is there something within yourself that is trying to fill a void by helping other people? Do you feel like by helping other people, you go out of your way to do that because there's something within yourself that needs to be helped? That there's something within yourself that you haven't reached out to another person to get that help from because you're like taking the stoic approach. You're like, I don't need any help. I don't need any therapy. I've never needed that before because I've always been the strong friend. I've always been the strong family member, and I need to complete that task, because if there's no strong friend or family member to be there for them, who's going to be there for them? So I got to be that role, right? I know I can feel somebody on the other side of that screen. You identify with that. So yeah, that right there, that's a big one. Hey, by the way, my Crown Connection retreat is revamped from before. We're focusing on answering the existential questions of life. This is a 4-day and 3-night glamping retreat in the heart of Pennsylvania. We're going to be resetting our circadian rhythm through exercises like journaling, daily meditation and yoga, and also scripting, herbalism workshops. So make sure you check out my retreat. It's called Crown Connection Retreat, a 4-day experience to release the confusion about your purpose in life, the confusion about your path, escape the conformity of society, the 9-to-5 mundane existence, and find more clarity in your life. If you constantly feel the need to dim your light in any setting, whether it's at home or at work, if you constantly feel a disconnection mentally, physically from yourself and from others, this is the perfect place for you to recharge and reset so that you can have more clarity about what path you need to be on and not what others or what society tries to conform you to be on. So go ahead and join my retreat. You can click the QR code in the screen or on the screen, and then also the link will be in the pinned comment. So you can go ahead and to that crownconnection.holisticfitmeditation.com. All right, so one of the 4 things that I still struggle with is escaping the grueling grip of social media. And there are a lot of different tactics that I now use to escape the constant dopamine, the cheap rush of dopamine that we get when we go on social media. And our mind really doesn't like anything that takes us away from the instant gratification. As technology advances and as, the years get older, we are trained to gratify or glorify getting things right here, right now. And it's to our mind's detriment. So we should try as much as possible to not conform to that. Do mind exercises such as limiting the amount of time that you're on social media, really. If you post a lot on social media, maybe consider scheduling your posts, which is what I do, and contribute more than you consume. That's really the trick here, is if we are contributing more to positively to everything that's evolving, we'll be less likely to consume harm, because whatever we are creating in our minds, we're going to see that reflected in the creation of society as a whole, because whatever's in here is going to reflect out there. So yeah, social media is something that we'll all need to learn how to adapt to and navigate more as society expands. Another thing I still struggle with is making rash decisions. I can't lie, I'm a risk taker. So I have no problem taking risks or doing things for the first time or doing things not knowing what the outcome is going to be. Even though I enjoy stability, I also know that there's more value in taking risks than being comfortable. If you take a lot of risks, there is no way that you're going to stay the same. You're going to evolve. And I've always felt like I personally evolve really fast. And that might be why I'll say it in the next point. I'll actually get to it. So keep watching until the end. Yeah, but if you enjoy taking risks and doing new things, doing things without really knowing what the cost is going to be, that could be an advantage, a great advantage to you. However, if you're not smart about it, that could be to your detriment, because there's a lot of things to learn in life. And if you don't know about something before you go into it, then you're going to learn when you go into it what you didn't know. Throughout the past year, 2023, I learned the hard way. I learned a really, really hard way that I should not make decisions based upon what I think or I see is the best decision. I should really feel what is the best decision. Sometimes I see there an opportunity, and because it looks like whatever it looks like on the surface level, I'm like, I could take this risk, high reward, which is true, which can be true. However, there could also be some really hard falls from a high risk. So just be careful about taking risks. I just feel like every single day we wake up is a risk. You can risk when you take a risk, or what am I trying to say? You can risk something that you don't know what you're going to get into, or you could have a really good knowledge base on whatever you're about to get into, and it could be something totally different, because every day is a different day. So take a risk, don't take a risk. Either way, you're going to learn something from it. Number 6, another thing that I still struggle with is being open and vulnerable. So there's a twofold part to this. Being vulnerable involves knowing exactly how you feel inside at the moment. Not at the moment, but sometimes at the moment, to the point where if you have a opportunity to speak what you're really feeling inside, you can get that opportunity if you're in a right heart posture. Depending on the circumstance, if you're in a heated discussion and you feel very passionate about a topic, possibly being vulnerable can cost you something that you didn't mean to say, or something that you'll regret. So sometimes waiting to reflect can, let me start that sentence over. So sometimes when you wait too long to reflect and open up, you can miss an opportunity because you either overthink it like I do, or you say, there's no point in saying this or being open or being vulnerable or being honest because I want to spare people's feelings. And the other fold to this, the twofold thing, is that telling people how you really feel instead of lying to them to spare their feelings sometimes feels like the better thing to do. Or actually it's the other way around. Lying to people or telling us a little white lie, but a little white lie is still a lie, Sometimes lying to people about how you really feel or stretching the truth a little bit, it feels better or feels like you spare more feelings than actually being vulnerable and open and honest, because who got time for that? But that's not a good way to go about it. I feel being vulnerable and open comes with a set of benefits that you won't get if you hide what you feel because you're trying to spare other people's feelings. We ain't got time for that in 2024. I'm talking to myself. We ain't got time for that in 2024, okay? Stop doing that. That's not cool. So overall, you know how they say what they say? They say the truth shall set you free. The truth shall set you free. So if you are being silent about something that truly bothers you, it's going to eat you alive. And I'm telling you, eat you alive. I learned this in 2023. That's what I'm saying. In 2024, we not gonna do it. If you are holding something back or being silent about something that's really bothering you, eventually, if you dim down the fact that it's bothering you, it's going to start bothering you a lot more until you decide to be open and vulnerable and put your pride aside, because really this is a pride thing. Put your pride aside and speak up about it. That will be what sets you free, what liberates you. Your words are some of the most powerful things, if not are the most powerful thing that you have. So speak up about how you feel, how you would like to be treated, how you want to conduct, how you want to move with, because that in itself will just liberate you and set you free. And one of the last things that I struggle with is making human connection with people who are the same age as me. Bet you wasn't expecting that, huh? One of the most prevalent things that I struggle with is making human connection with people who are like within their 20s. It is weird. The 20s is a weird time However, I'm starting to notice more and more that I feel a lot more comfortable having fluid, open and honest conversation that isn't small talk, just open and honest conversation and real deep conversations with people who are older than me. I'm talking 40s and 50s and on. I'm not sure how long that's been the case, but as far as making friends in your 20s or just making human connection, I feel a lot of us still have this wall up, trying to kind of see how people move and trying to see how much we might be judged for starting a certain conversation. If we start a deep conversation, will people understand how we're coming, or will they perceive what you said as something wrong? Will they go and talk about you behind your back, or will they blast you on Instagram? Whatever you're thinking they might do. That and the idea that, what am I trying to say? That and we might value human connection so much that we're afraid to lose it. So, along with everything else that moves fast in our world, everything else that's advancing, friendships move fast. Am I the only one who's noticing it? Connections with other people are moving fast. Connections with other people are microwave. They might appear as one thing today, or they might give off one energy today, but tomorrow they give off a whole different energy. You're like, I'm not attracted to that anymore. It's not worth my time, effort, and energy to explore a deeper connection because I'm already feeling uneasy here. And I'm not afraid. I'm not fearful. Let's recenter. I observe that as society gets older, as the younger generations get older, that same idea about human connection will get more and more prevalent. Microwave connections, microwave friendships, they're so short. They're short-lived, and if we're not getting some type of gratification out of it or the stimulation that we want, it's so much easier to leave and go on to the next thing. Let me know how y'all thought about this video. What was the number one thing that you still resonated with, that you still struggle with as well? Check out my Insight Timer. Insight Timer is an app that allows you to listen to free guided meditations. I have a whole profile on there where I have guided meditations for confidence, guided meditations for sleep, for energy, for calming the mind and the body. Go ahead and download the app, or you don't even have to download the app. Just click the link in the pinned comments, or the link will be right here on the screen to my profile. Visit it anytime and give me a review of my guided meditations. I appreciate it so much. Until the next video, I'm sending peace your way, love your way, and joy to you, your family, and your friends. All right, y'all. Peace.